Conservatives over at the Daily Wire thought it would be funny to troll Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez after she shared some photos on social media of what her grandmother's home looks like in Puerto Rico, in an effort to make a point about the damage that was done after the Trump administration intentionally froze funding, relief funding to Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria, which of course was devastating. Now, Daily Wire writer and podcast host Matt Walsh launched a GoFundMe on Friday seeking to needle Ocasio-Cortez after she posted these photos showing her grandmother's home in Puerto Rico in a state of disrepair. Now, AOC again was trying to draw attention to the fact that the Trump administration had delayed $20 billion that had been appropriated by Congress to provide relief to Puerto Ricans following Hurricane Maria. Now, it all started after 2018 when OMB, or the Office of Management and Budget, began requiring HUD to send grant notices for disaster funds through an interagency review process for approval, making it hard for HUD to publish the notices needed to unlock funding in a timely manner. Investigators found that OMB had never before required such a review before posting notice or allocating the recovery funds. Now, the Trump administration's OMB insisted on overhauls to Puerto Rico's property management records, suspension of its minimum wage on federal contracts, and other prerequisites to access relief funds. So I'm giving you all of that context so you can understand what AOC was trying to draw attention to. The United States government is responsible for providing relief funds to various states and, by the way, of course, Puerto Rico, since it's under our jurisdiction, when these natural disasters happen. But what Matt Walsh wanted to do here was basically make the argument that AOC is such an awful person because she's not helping her grandmother, which is ridiculous, but more importantly that we should just rely on mutual aid in lieu of an actual robust government social safety net that helps out when people are in trouble because of these natural disasters. So here's what his tweet said. He says, as you've heard, AOC's abuela is living in a dilapidated home that was ravaged by Hurricane Maria. AOC is unable to help her grandma for whatever reason, so I have set up this GoFundMe campaign to save her home. Please give if you can. Now, the GoFundMe apparently raised as much as $100,000 before it was stopped because someone reached out to GoFundMe to inform them that AOC and her family have no intention of taking that money. So Matt Walsh updates Twitter by saying, update, someone in AOC's abuela's family told GoFundMe that she won't take the money, even though AOC previously claimed that her grandma was in dire straits and it was Trump's fault. AOC still hasn't acknowledged this effort or thanked us. And later AOC did respond, Cenk, by saying, you don't even have a concept for the role that first generation firstborn daughters play in their families. My abuela is okay, but instead of caring for mine and letting others suffer, I'm calling attention to the systemic injustices you seem totally fine with in having a US colony. And I think she's right about that.
Yeah, of course. Look, the only thing I would have differed on is I'd have taken the money and then I would have used it against, not only use it for her house, but for the other houses in the community. And I would have done a large press conference and explaining what I'm about to say, which is, guys, we can't do this one person at a time. We do this in healthcare too. Oh, my mom has cancer, Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Okay, my dad's about to die, please GoFundMe. No, every other developed nation has universal health care. So people don't have to beg online or in the streets to save their mom when they have cancer, or to save their grandmother when the American government betrays her and all of her neighbors and other communities and other neighborhoods in Puerto Rico. We know for a fact now that the Trump administration withheld $20 billion from Puerto Rico that they were supposed to get during Hurricane Maria. Why did he do it? Well, he did it because they criticized him. He's such a monster. He's actually caring about the people of Puerto Rico. Plus, he figured they're a colony. And so being the colonialist that he is, being the terrible imperial person that he is. Oh, by the way, portions of the so-called left wing, they're like, oh, I'm so worried about imperialism. And so I don't mind Trump.
Yeah.
No, and look at what he's doing in Puerto Rico. They don't vote. Who cares? And you know what? He accused them of corruption. How's that for ironic? And that's why he didn't want to give them the $20 billion. When they looked into the facts, turns out Texas and Florida are doing the same exact thing. But they vote, and they vote Republican. So he funneled all the money to them, nothing to Puerto Rico. And then when AOC points out that hypocrisy, they're like, oh yeah, you're not taking care of your grandmother. Let's do an Indiegogo, ha 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 ha, GoFundMe, so funny, ha ha. It's not funny. The way that you actually do it is you follow the law. Congress already appropriated that money, but you guys are sick people, so you wouldn't actually let it get to Puerto Rico. And we have to, look, the whole point of government is to act collectively.
Yes.
Now, when
but they don't want that, Cenk. Like, that's the point, right? So
I was gonna say though, it depends though, Anna. It depends.
Okay.
When you're talking about cops, they're like, yes, pull all of our money together and give it to all the cops and make sure they beat the living crap out of all the minorities and protect my home and property, my property, government help me, government help me. There's black people protesting in the streets, government, collect together all the money and give it to all the cops. Oh, you don't mind it when it goes to cops. You don't mind it when it goes to the fire department, which makes sense. It should go to the fire department. We do need to have police. But why? They protect your lives. You know what else protects your life? Healthcare. Otherwise you die without it, right? But when it comes to that, no, I got enough money, I'm okay. Or otherwise I'll go online and beg. Why? Because drug companies and insurance companies pay off Republicans, by the way, and Democrats. You're shilling for giant corporations you're not even a part of, you suckers, you morons on the right wing. Oh, no, I don't want healthcare. I just want to beg when I get sick, okay? Yeah. Why? Because Mitch McConnell is getting, and by the way, Donald Trump, and by the way, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, they're all getting paid off by drug companies. They're all getting, Joe Biden, what happened? I thought we were gonna negotiate drug prices. Nothing. Corporate Democrats are just as guilty as corporate Republicans.
So, but look, there's also a huge disconnect, right? Because I don't want you to equate the desires of Republican voters with the desires of goons like people over at the Daily Wire who get funded by millionaires and billionaires to spread the propaganda that they spread, right? They've got their grift going, they're fine. They just don't want to contribute to federal taxes, which fund these social safety net programs and ensure that if there is a natural disaster, people get the help that they need. But when it comes to Republican voters, I mean, just think back at the 2016 election where Donald Trump pretended like he wanted to expand Medicare, right? That he wanted universal health care, and how much Republican voters supported that kind of messaging. So there is a disconnect, and it's important to be able to suss that out, because really, I think most voters, regardless of their political ideology, understand that relying on mutual aid, which really means relying on the whims of millionaires and billionaires to provide help through charity, is not the sign of a system that works. It's a sign of a broken system.
They're trying to turn all of us into beggars. But it's our money. We paid the taxes. We should be able to get what every other country gets, including Canada, including Mexico, including all of Europe. And for those of the extreme right wing who are the racist, oh, white people are awesome. Well, all the super white people of Europe, of Northern Europe, have luxurious health care. Okay, we're the only ones who don't have it. We're the only ones who don't have it. Because, oh no, my corporate donors have to get paid. They're those Daily Wire guys. By the way, they don't even get investments. What they get is just flat out money.
Yes.
Here, take this money and do propaganda for me, okay? One of their donors or whatever is the Hicks brothers, right? So they're frackers. They built their money. They built their money on fracking. So what do the people at Daily Wire do? Fracking is awesome. Screw the environment. Green New Deal. They won't let you eat burgers. Let's just lie about it. Who cares? Who cares? We got money to lie, so let's just do it, right? So even if you're a right winger, they're deceiving you. And maybe it's easy to understand it when maybe you don't care when it's Puerto Rico. Oh, AOC, I don't like AOC. Oh, Latinas and Latinos, I don't like them, right? So, oh yeah, we don't send them money, ha ha ha, right? But it also affects you guys. Look at what happened in Texas. Because of the donors, they didn't make them repair the energy infrastructure because it would cost their beloved corporations an extra $1. And then you froze to death in Texas. But you'd already paid your taxes.
That's right.
They rob you over and over again and funnel all the money to corporations. If you actually care about corruption, and I actually know through polling that the Republican voters do care about corruption. It's their one saving grace. Vote these bums out, the corporate Republicans and the corporate Democrats.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.